Hello and welcome to DD India. I am Tanvi Taneja. Every year on 10th of December, the world comes together to celebrate the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a landmark document that affirms the fundamental freedoms every individual enjoys everywhere. Today, we have the honor of having with us a distinguished guest, the Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission of India, Justice V Ramasubramaniyan. He is the Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission of India. He's also been a former Supreme Court Justice. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us on the show. Yes, we are going to celebrate the Human Rights Day, and of course, the obvious starting point now is, why is Human Rights Day celebrated, not just in India, but everywhere across the world? And also, could you shed some light on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, why the rights it confers are very important for every individual across the world?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'll begin by wishing the viewers a very happy Human Rights Day, International Human Rights Day on 10th December. There is a very small history to the celebration of the International Human Rights Day on 10th December every year. All of you know that the Second World War broke out in 1939, after which millions of people were rendered homeless, millions of people were dead. Therefore, the United Nations was formed in 1945. Then the United Nations Economic Council, they created an 18-member body called Commission on Human Rights to draft what was originally conceived as International Bill of Rights. The chairperson of this 18-member body commission was Eleanor Roosevelt, and this body came up with a document called Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
This Universal Declaration of Human Rights, international Magna Carta of all men everywhere.
This declaration was adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations on 10th December 1948. Thereafter, in 1950, there was a resolution passed requesting all member states to celebrate this 10th December as International Human Rights Day. So from 1950, the whole world, all the countries of the world are celebrating this 10th December as Human Rights Day to remember the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on 10th December 1948.
Yes, so Human Rights Day has been envisioned to commemorate the fundamental rights of every person. Sir, personally, what does the day, Human Rights Day, signify to you?
Personally, what it signifies to me is that all of us grow in different environments. India is a very peculiar country where we have a population of about 1.4 billion. We have people practicing and professing about 8 major religions of the world. We have people who belong to who are divided by about 3,600 castes and communities. We have 22 official languages, apart from which there are about 1,600 languages and dialects. So it is a very diverse society. In such a society, human rights violations take place not merely at the instance of the state actors, but also at the instance of non-state actors. This, as a lawyer and as a judge, I have watched very closely for about 40 years when my journey started in the legal field. So what it signifies to me is that people should learn to respect other people's rights. That is why the Universal Declaration of Human Rights itself says the purpose of this document is to encourage people to respect each other's rights. If we don't respect each other's rights, you cannot enforce your own rights.
Okay, this year's theme, Human Rights, Everyday Essentials. How relevant and timely is this campaign? And of course, I ask this given the unpredictability and volatility of our times we are living in.
See, why this particular theme has been chosen by United Nations for the current year is that today we find a lot of chaos around the globe. there is disaffection, alienation, etc. So, United Nations found that we will have to bridge the gap between the human rights discourse and our everyday experiences. Everyday essentials start from our food, shelter, clothing, dignity, respect for each other in community, etc. This is the time United Nations thought is the most important time when we have to talk about these essentials. So we have gone back to basics this year.
Okay, that's interesting. Broadly speaking, what would you say are the most serious human rights violations across the world and also, sir, in India?
Across the world, different challenges have cropped up in recent years. For instance, migration, due to poverty, due to political anarchy, etc. Within India, what is happening is, as I said earlier, lot of violations at the instance of non-state actors have started taking place. If state actors infringe human rights, violate fundamental rights, we go to court. There, the courts do pull up state actors, the state government, central government, institutions, etc. But when non-state actors violate in a very, very subtle way, take for instance, right to privacy. Right to privacy can be infringed both by state actors and by non-state actors, because all of us unwittingly post our information in our mobile phones. I used to say that the more and more phones become smarter, the less and less human beings become.
Yes, there's a saying that more and more smarter the gadgets become, the dumber you become. So tell us a little bit more about our human rights body, National Human Rights Commission, its functions, its powers, and so on.
Actually, after the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948, Paris Principles evolved. Based upon Paris Principles, the Parliament enacted the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. The Act provided for the constitution of both a National Human Rights Commission and State Human Rights Commissions. Why there should be a National Human Rights Commission and why there should be State Human Rights Commissions is a question which many viewers may be wondering. The reason is that police, law and order are subjects which fall within the purview of the state subjects under the 7th schedule to the Constitution. Therefore, whenever there are violations of human rights, traditionally at the hands of police, etc., then the state should also have a body to monitor. That is the reason why our Protection of Human Rights Act provides for the creation of a National Human Rights Commission and also provides for the creation of State Human Rights Commissions. These commissions are vested with certain functions under Section 12 of the Act. The functions include spreading awareness about human rights among people so that they are able to approach appropriate forums for enforcement. Then make spot inquiries of institutions established by governments, government departments and the public sector to see if there are violations of human rights. Then to receive complaints from individuals about violation of human rights, conduct inquiries and to pass recommendations. Then to take suo motu cognizance of human rights violations if they are reported in the press or if they are otherwise brought to the notice of the Commission. These are the functions. How do we carry out these functions? We carry out these functions through two divisions. We have a law division, we have an investigation division. The law division is headed by an officer of the rank of district judge. He is assisted by presenting officers who are drawn from the district judiciary, who already hold posts of additional district judges. they look into the complaints, they prepare as to how these violations have taken place and what grievance the complainants have, what remedies they want. We have an investigation division headed by a Director General of Police. He is assisted by a DIG of Police. There are 4 senior superintendents of police who are Indian Police Service officers, and they are assisted by deputy superintendents of police, inspectors, etc. Wherever there are violations of human rights which require some investigation, this investigation division is entitled to go through the records, and if they find spot inquiries, spot investigation necessary, they can go to the spot, conduct investigations and submit a report. After these reports are submitted, we issue notices to the purported violators, namely the governments or government departments, call upon them to provide their explanation, show cause. Thereafter, we pass orders. The orders are called recommendations under section 18. We pass different types of orders. For instance, one of the important orders that we pass is to direct the state governments to compensate the victims of violation of human rights in monetary terms. The second type of recommendation that we make is to direct the government to take action against the officials responsible for a violation of human rights. So these are broadly the functions and powers of the Commission.
Okay, so in your tenure here, sir, as chairperson of the NHRC, what kind of serious violations have come to your notice and what has been done about it?
A lot of, for instance, the National Human Rights Commission issued an advisory way back in 1997 that all custodial death cases should be reported within 24 hours to the Commission. Custodial deaths, not necessarily deaths arising out of violation of human rights. Even if a person had died a natural death while in custody, police custody or judicial custody, whether in police station or in jail, intimation should be given to us. We conduct independent investigations into the cause of death. If the cause of death is natural, then we don't interfere. If the cause of death is unnatural and if we suspect any violation, we conduct detailed investigations and we fix responsibility on the officials, we direct payment of compensation. Two of the most interesting cases that happened in the recent past after I took over are we had a complaint from the parents of a 14-year-old girl from Bihar in a remote place that she went missing and the police did not take action. When we suspected and we put the investigation team on the job, they swung into action. Within 48 hours, they rescued the girl from a place in Rajasthan where she was about to be trafficked. So these are some of the things that really give us some satisfaction, and the girl was restored to her parents. It has happened not once, 2 times in the past 1 year.
Okay. In your view, sir, are there any additional laws that are required to check the human rights abuses in the country, or only social change can be a great transformer?
Actually, we have enough laws. We have better laws than many advanced countries have. In terms of implementation, we may lag behind. Therefore, what is required in this country is effective implementation of the existing laws and not creation of more laws. Our libraries are already flooded with more laws. At this rate, even the judges and lawyers may have to plead ignorance of law. So we don't need more laws. Existing laws are enough to take care of the violations. Social change, yes, of course, because if you see the history of India, much before India attained independence, some of the reforms took place first at the societal level and then at the statutory level. Take for instance abolition of sati, child marriage. All these were pioneered by social reformers. Social reforms always preceded statutory reforms in this country.
Okay. In your view, what has been the most significant contribution of the NHRC in bringing about reforms in the country?
For instance, we are now making an attempt. we identified 97 statutes which discriminate against leprosy patients and leprosy cured persons. They are not entitled to contest for elections to certain offices. Even today, there are 97 enactments. There is a public interest litigation in the Supreme Court where NHRC has recently intervened, and we have requested the Supreme Court to strike down all those provisions.
Returning to this year's theme, sir, human rights, everyday essentials, how can the NHRC help citizens that, recognize that human rights are part of their everyday essentials?
See, as I began with a caution that people should learn to respect each other's rights. What is happening is our everyday essentials, for everyday essentials, people depend upon the service providers. The service providers may be from the government, state, or even non-state, like public sector undertakings, etc. Unfortunately, people who sit inside a counter in a public office does not think that the person standing outside the counter is also a human being. I always used to tell people that it is only in your office that you sit inside the counter and the other man is standing outside the counter. In every other officer, you will be standing outside the counter. So, that is where one of the functions of the Commission to propagate awareness assumes significance. This we are trying to do by coordinating with institutions of repute, roping in human rights defenders, creating core groups, interacting with people, holding national consultations, conferences, etc. We recently held a consultation on how effectively the Probation Offenders Act could be implemented. So, this is what we are trying to do to achieve this everyday essentials reaching public.
Okay. Going ahead, what is your vision for NHRC? What priority areas have you identified, sir, that need more attention?
The areas that need more attention are persons with disabilities, transgender persons, women, children. There are places in this country where child marriages still take place. There are places in this country where women are not empowered. They are not able to access even education. There are places in this country where persons with disabilities are not able to enforce their rights. So, we are trying to now focus on these areas where the vulnerable groups get caught in the rapid economic development, where they are left behind.
So, the role of education, awareness becomes very important in this regard, to be able to sensitize people of the human rights and the fundamental values, the dignity every individual should enjoy, the abled and the non-abled. In this regard, are we doing enough to mainstream these concepts of gender sensitization, human rights to everyday public?
I do not think we are doing enough. One of the reasons is that it's a hugely populous country. That is really a challenge. Unless human rights discourse is made part of the curriculum in schools, where from childhood the students get exposed to the idea of dignity, respecting each other's rights, all this, I don't think it's possible to do this. That is why what NHRC is doing is, we are roping in a lot of universities, colleges, we conduct seminars, we support them both financially and functionally for the conduct of these programs, so that awareness increases. And we are conducting online internship programs for students, offline internship program for students. Online internship programs happen very frequently. The physical internship programs happen once during winter, once during summer, where students selected from across the country, about 80-90 students come here, at least 2 students, 3 students from each state. They come here for 1 month, they undergo an internship. That becomes a huge exposure for them. We have been successfully doing it for the past couple of years.
Okay, that's great. So, where do you see the biggest gaps in the human rights ecosystem today?
The gaps, that's what actually meant by saying that gaps are in the implementation.
Okay.
Take for instance, a welfare government comes up with schemes. The implementation of the schemes is in the hands of the executive at different levels of the hierarchy. But what happens is, the red tapeism that crept into our country from the British times has still not gone. We have not simplified procedures. Even recently, Supreme Court observed that we have to simplify procedures. If you approach a government office for something, they ask you for about 10-12 documents. And every time you go there, the same set of documents are asked. You can't expect people who are not well educated, people who are at the fringes of society to maintain records. Even institutions do not maintain records so perfectly. Where is the question of individuals maintaining records? This is the gap. Implementation is the gap.
So, what can be done about it, sir, in your view?
The only thing that could be done is to make everything simple.
Okay.
Don't complicate matters and fix responsibility upon people who actually prove to be a stumbling block in all these welfare things reaching the common man.
At the global level, sir, how far would you say that the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights has been successful in achieving its objectives, and how do you see the future?
I can't really say how far they have been successful, because to some extent after the Second World War, though there are a lot of tensions throughout the world and a few wars happen here and there, a third world war has not come.
So far.
Therefore, for about 77 years, I think the Human Rights Declaration, United Nations has been successful in preventing a third world war. That's how I look at it. Future, what happens is, today, originally when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted in 1948, they focused only on civil and political rights, and then social, economic and cultural rights.
Okay.
But after 1970s, the third generation of rights, namely collective rights like environment, society's rights, etc., started, creeping up. Then now, after the explosion of information technology, digital technology, new genre of rights have come up. People have realized right to privacy. Science and technology, people realize that I have a right to die peacefully. I don't want to undergo this treatment, euthanasia. So these are scientific challenges which have started coming up, and people have different views. There is no unanimity of view on some of these new genre of rights, new generation rights.
So you think that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights sooner or later will have to incorporate these new genre of rights?
They will have to reinvent itself. We will have to reinvent ourselves to take care of these new genre of rights.
So before I let you go, on 10th of December, the Human Rights Day, what is your message to every citizen of India?
The citizens of India, I only give one message, because I don't think I am really competent to give a message to my countrymen. I would only appeal to them that unless we learn to respect each other, human rights will only be in textbooks. All of us want our own rights to be respected by others. Please do the same thing to others. That's all that I would appeal. It's only an appeal, it's not a message.
That's a very strong appeal, sir. On that note, I'd like to thank you, sir, for giving us your valuable insights on the subject of human rights in India and across the world. Well, it is a day we should all rededicate ourselves for uplifting human rights, the basic dignity every individual deserves. Thank you very much for being with us on the show. And viewers, you can give us your feedback on this conversation with Justice V Ramasubramaniyan on our different social media channels at DD India Live. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you.